This is City News Everywhere.
Relief on its way for new drivers in Alberta. You won't have to take your second road test to get your full license, and it'll save you time as well as money. These changes come into effect in the spring of 2023. Albertans who successfully complete their 2-year probational period without any demerits in the final year will automatically qualify for their full Class 5 or Class 6 license, saving drivers $150.
Even by not taking that, they have the same ability to drive with Class 5 GDL. So they thought, why do we spend extra $150? So they were not going to take the test.
Many people online excited for the change. One person tweeted, "Finally, my procrastination pays off. 16 years of not upgrading my GDL just made me $150 richer." Another driver says, "Why would I stress myself out for a test that costs money when I don't drive at night or while under the influence?" Panda says 15 more minutes will be added to the basic road test to incorporate some more safety aspects, but this driving examiner says that will result in learner drivers having to pay more money anyways.
If it does become 45 minutes long, there's going to have to be an increased cost. If it does become an hour long, there's going to have to be an increased cost to that road test. And given that 3/4 of my clients do the basic road test, the vast majority of people are paying more.
Over the past 5 years, about 65% of drivers did not take their advanced road test, and 99% of motorcycle riders did not take the test.
They don't take the test because they don't need it. Most people take the test because they need it for work. So that's why they're not taking it.
Under these changes, drivers who show poor driving behavior and receive demerits or are ticketed during the final year of their probation will have their probationary period extended for an additional year. In Edmonton, Laura Kraus, City News.
Alberta is pumping the brakes on a requirement for new drivers to take a second road test to get their full license. The province is changing its graduated driver's license program to eliminate costs, but some wonder if it's coming at the expense of road safety. Here's Jordan Canagan.
If you're on a graduated driver's license and have waited to take another road test for your full Class 5, your patience is paid off. Alberta will get rid of the 2-step testing requirement next year because a majority of people weren't doing it anyways.
Because a lot of young Albertans particularly told us that they don't want to take advanced road test to get full license because their GDL is already letting them drive.
The province says 65% of people who have gone through the GDL program in the last 5 years have not yet gone for the second road test, even though it would give them more demerits and eliminate the zero drug and alcohol condition. The current program requires a road exam that costs up to $150 to move from a GDL to a regular Class 5 license. Next spring, drivers will automatically graduate to the full license after a 2-year probationary period, as long as they don't receive any suspensions or violations.
Well, and the GDL program was really put in place to, people get a license when they're 16 and, to have a check-in a couple of years later to see if they have the required skills to be on the road.
It'll also mean less class time for some drivers who opt to get a refresher before taking the second test. The changes will apply to vehicle and motorcycle licenses.
I have met a lot of people and met a lot of families, and they are still concerned about the safety, about if their kids would be able to drive on the road in the proper way or not.
About 500,000 drivers will automatically move from their GDL to their full Class 5 when the rules change. Not everyone thinks that's a good idea.
It works out in my favor, but I think it's a bit of a bad idea because, I've seen even my own friends drive and, they're not really, I feel like they should go and get another test done.
Jordan joins us from Memorial Drive tonight. And Jordan, there are also changes for taxi and ambulance drivers.
Tara, there are, and it means fewer steps for people who want those type of licenses as well. So for people right now who want to drive taxis, rideshare vehicles such as Uber or ambulances, they need a Class 4 license, and right now that requires an extra advanced road test. Now, when these new rules come into effect, Class 4 will no longer need that road test. They will still have to pass a written, a vision, and a medical test, however. Now, we know these new rules will come into effect sometime in the spring of 2023. Tara, we're still waiting for the exact date when that comes into effect.
Okay, Jordan, thank you.
UCP government is changing the licensing program for drivers.
The advanced test to move from a graduated license program to a full license will be scrapped. With more, here's Amanda Anderson.
About 700,000 Alberta drivers are part of the graduated driver's license program. Michelle Dimitrition is one of them. She got her license 5 years ago.
My abstract's not fully cleared, so I'm just kind of waiting for it to clear, and then I'd be going to go do the test.
Over the past 5 years, the government says 65% of drivers and 99% of motorcycle Class 6 drivers haven't bothered to do the final test, many not wanting to shell out the $150 to do it.
Because their GDL is already letting them drive. So we thought we should eliminate that red tape.
Now the GDL will require a 2-year probation. If during the final year the driver has a clean record, their license will automatically transition to a full one. Violations will mean an extra year of probation.
It works out in my favor, but I think it's a bit of a bad idea because, I've seen even my own friends drive and, they're not really, I feel like they should go and get another test done.
One Alberta registry is surprised with the changes, saying it puts us out of step with other provinces.
Well, and the GDL program was really put in place to, people get a license when they're 16 and, to have a check-in a couple of years later to see if they have the required skills to be on the road.
The Class 4 advanced tests are also being eliminated, which includes taxis, ride shares, and small buses.
So there won't be a process where a licensed driver examiner is assessing the skills of a person who wants to transport passengers.
A lot of really bad drivers now with this test, so who knows who could sneak by if the test goes away.
The changes take effect next spring. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. The government of Alberta has announced its plans to change its graduated driver's license program. An advanced road test will no longer be required for Albertans to get a non-GLD license. Quinn Keenan explains the changes.
The province says it will be doing away with advanced road tests for Class 5 and 6 driver's licenses next spring. The changes are the result of public consultations.
Young Albertans particularly told us that they don't want to take the advanced road test to get a full license because their GDL is already letting them drive.
Currently, it costs $150 to take an advanced road test. Many young drivers tell CTV they're happy they won't have to put more time and money towards advanced road tests.
Oh, it's nice. It's good news to hear. Makes it easier for young drivers to get out on the road.
I think it's a really good idea. I don't have my second part of my GDL. I only have my first one. But I do have some younger siblings who need someone to be in the passenger seat, and it's not always easy for an adult to be there.
While it's welcome news for some, it's a headache for others. The sudden announcement has left registries across the province wondering what happens next.
But for the main part for us, it's just until we know the ins and outs of what the government intends, we're just simply waiting.
DeCreek says a lack of information hasn't been the only concern.
We're hearing lots of phone calls from Albertans that are worried about safety implications.
About 700,000 Albertans are currently qualified to take an advanced road test, 500,000 of which are eligible to automatically exit the GDL program. Quinn Keenan, CTV News, Lethbridge.
An additional road test will no longer be required to obtain a Class 4 license. Those are needed to drive taxis, rideshare vehicles, or small buses.
Alberta's graduated driver's license program is getting an overhaul next spring.
A lot of young Albertans particularly told us that they don't want to take the advanced road test to get a full license because their GDL is already letting them drive.
Alberta previously asked residents to take a more advanced road test after 2 years. Drivers won't have to take the test anymore, but will still be subjected to a probationary period.
A clean record will soon be what's needed to get a full driver's license in our province. That means starting in the spring, Albertans will not have to take an extra road test. Brianna Karsten-Smith explains what's changing.
Getting a license in Alberta can be a long process. Drivers can get a learner's permit at 14, a graduated license at 16 after a road test. Another 2 years later, drivers can take a second road test, granting them a full license with more freedoms.
I decided to take the second test for a number of reasons. The more demerits, and also the other thing was the leniency on the alcohol.
But not everyone does.
I've had my license for 7 years. I honestly didn't want to pay and risk failing and then wasting my money.
She's not alone. According to the government, over the past 5 years, 65% of drivers didn't bother to take the advanced road test. A whopping 99% of motorcycle riders didn't either. So now, the province is getting rid of it.
We are not compromising the safety.
GDL drivers will still have fewer demerits and zero alcohol tolerance for 2 years. Starting in April, if they've had a clean record for a year, they'll automatically get a full license, no test required.
I feel like a test isn't really going to just necessarily make that much of a difference. I think over time you're just going to become a better driver.
The transportation minister says the one and only road test will be made a bit harder. One expert believes that will help prevent insurance rates from going up.
Insurers will monitor the data over the next year or two. And if there is an increase in issues stemming from this change, then they'll price accordingly.
And for anyone with a test booked between now and the spring,
if they're prepared to go and take the advanced test, and if they are more comfortable in doing that, I guess business as usual between now and April.
Though it's clear some won't bother. Brianna Karsten-Smith, Global News.
The province is making significant changes to the way people are given driver's licenses. Come this spring, you will no longer need to take a second road test to get your full license. As it stands now, you can get a learner's permit at 14 and a graduated license at 16 with a road test. A second test is required, though, for a full license. Starting in April, though, if they've had a clean record for a year, drivers will automatically get a full license, no test required. The transportation minister says it won't compromise safety. Instead, the time of the first test will be increased.
We are augmenting that by increasing the time of testing with an additional 15 minutes. In that, all those safety aspects, advanced safety aspects are included. So that way we are not compromising the safety of.
Graduated driver's license drivers will still have fewer demerits and zero alcohol tolerance for 2 years. Starting in April, if they've had a clean record for a year, they will automatically get a full license, no test required.